My name's Evan. I'm 28, and I guess the best way to start this off is by saying I used to think family loyalty meant something. That if you showed up, gave your time, your money, your care, people would see it, that it'd matter. But this past Easter proved I was wrong. I'm the oldest by a long shot. My brother, Jeremy, is 22. My dad remarried when I was 16, not long after my mom passed. That part still stings to even type out. Her death kind of shattered everything, and while I did my best to hold the pieces together, Dad moved on with eerie speed. Within a year, he was dating this woman named Karen, yes, with a C, because of course, and by the time I graduated high school, she was already moving into the house we'd shared with Mom. It was never really a family after that. More like a blended arrangement that leaned heavily in Karen and Jeremy's favor. At first, I tried. I really did. I offered to help with Jeremy's homework. I brought home groceries, even got a part-time job to contribute while I was in college. Karen always acted polite, but it was that forced kind of nice. Like the way someone smiles at a cashier but doesn't make eye contact. And Dad? He just faded. Started missing my recitals, brushing off our movie nights, canceling father-son trips we used to take every spring. Said he was busy, but he wasn't. He just stopped trying. I moved out at 20 when I finally got tired of feeling like a third wheel in my own house. But even then, I didn't cut ties. I still showed up for birthdays, still mailed gifts, still called every Sunday like clockwork. It was like I kept hoping, maybe next time they'll see me. Maybe next time it'll be different. Spoiler, it wasn't. This year, Karen decided to throw a big family Easter gathering. She posted it in our group chat like it was this grand surprise, backyard egg hunt, catered food, family traditions. I rolled my eyes, but I agreed to come. Mostly because Jeremy had asked me directly, and I figured, all right, why not? I had the day off, and maybe this was a chance to reconnect. But somehow, even when I know better, I still walk into their house hoping things will feel like home again. The day started off okay. Karen assigned tasks like she was managing a restaurant. Evan, you take the backyard, set up the egg hunt stations, make sure the tables are clean. The kids need juice boxes in the cooler, and don't forget the plastic cutlery. No please. No thank you. Just orders. I didn't argue. I smiled, nodded, and got to work. I always do. It's like muscle memory now. I cleaned the backyard, arranged the plastic eggs, laid out the tablecloths, even fixed a few chairs that were wobbling. I went on a last-minute store run when the catering service called and said they forgot the vegetarian dish. I paid out of pocket for it, $74.63. Never got reimbursed, by the way. Around 3 p.m., people started arriving. Cousins, in-laws, Karen's side of the family mostly. I was the only one sweating in a button-up shirt with grass stains on my knees. Everyone else had somehow shown up fresh, clean, and clueless. Karen's sister greeted me like I was the hired help. Oh, you must be the one setting everything up. You're doing such a good job. She said it with that faux cheery tone that made me want to laugh and scream at the same time. My own uncle didn't even recognize me at first. Jeremy gave me a side hug and muttered, "Glad you came, man," before disappearing with his girlfriend. As the afternoon went on, I realized something: no one had saved me a seat at any of the tables. I kept telling myself it was an oversight, that maybe someone would notice and fix it. But the more people trickled in, the more chairs were taken, until I was left standing with a plastic cup of lukewarm lemonade in my hand and a forced smile on my face. Karen finally announced dinner was ready. People started lining up near the buffet, paper plates in hand, laughing and joking. I lingered near the folding table where I'd set out the forks. That's when it happened. I was reaching over to straighten a napkin holder when I heard my dad's voice, sharp, sudden, and just loud enough for the people around us to stop talking. "Evan," he said, not looking at me, "you're just a guest in this family now. Don't overstep." It was like someone had sucker punched me. At first, I didn't even process it. I just blinked, confused, thinking maybe I misheard him. But then Karen, standing beside him with her arms crossed, nodded. "It's not your place to run things here," she added with this smug little smile like she'd been waiting years to say that out loud. I looked over at Jeremy, my brother. My baby brother who used to follow me around like a shadow when we were kids. He met my eyes and looked away. Not a word. Not a single word. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stood there with that same stupid plastic cup in my hand, realizing I was the only one in that yard who felt out of place in a family I used to belong to. I walked inside. Didn't say a word. Found my bag by the front door where I dropped it earlier that morning. And then I started unplugging things. The Wi-Fi router? Gone. I bought it last year when theirs broke and no one bothered to replace it. The backyard speakers? Mine. I'd lent them for Jeremy's graduation and never got them back. Gone. That extra generator keeping the catering warm? Surprise, that was mine too. Bought it during a snowstorm last winter and left it with Dad, just in case. I unplugged it and carried it to my car like it weighed nothing. It felt like something in me had just clicked off. Like the years of bending over backwards, staying quiet, swallowing hurt, just evaporated. And I wasn't done yet. I walked out to my car slow and steady, like I wasn't fuming inside. Like I hadn't just been told, out loud, in front of a yard full of people, that I didn't belong to my own family anymore. But I wasn't going to cry. Not for them. Not anymore. As I opened my trunk and started loading the gear, I noticed someone watching me from the kitchen window, Jeremy. He didn't come out. He didn't say anything. Just stared. I almost laughed. Maybe he was shocked I didn't just slink off quietly like always. Not this time. After loading up, I got in the car and sat with the engine running. I stared down at my phone and opened a little folder I kept on my notes app. It was labeled Shared Expenses, and it held a lot of things my family had conveniently forgotten I'd covered over the years. Like the car insurance policy that was still in my name. Dad had totaled his car a few years back, and I stepped in to co-sign the new one and get him a good rate through my provider. He never transferred it. I paid the monthly premiums. Quietly. Out of guilt, I guess. Or habit. Or the utilities. The house was still under Mom's name when she passed, and I'd never officially removed myself as the secondary account holder. When they had a financial rough patch last year, Karen had taken a break from work to focus on her wellness. Whatever that meant, I agreed to cover the electric bill for a few months. Those months turned into a year. I had all the account logins. Still had access. Still had control. And then, there was the big one. I wasn't just footing the bill for the Wi-Fi or their Amazon Prime. I was also the guarantor on their new HVAC system. They'd had a problem with their old unit during the worst summer heat wave in decades, and when the contractor required a cosigner, guess who got the call? Me. I didn't even hesitate. Just showed up and signed. Paid the first installment out of pocket to get things rolling. Guess what else I had? The contract. So I opened the billing portal, unlinked my card, clicked Transfer Ownership. When it wouldn't let me because they hadn't made enough consistent payments, I clicked Cancel Autopay instead. Then I logged into the electric company, paused the payment, texted customer service with a simple line. I'm no longer residing at this address and would like to be removed as a payee. They replied within minutes, saying they'd reach out to confirm with the primary holder. I smiled. Then I found the insurance app, pulled up the car policy, removed my payment method, sent a cancellation notice with an end-of-month date, and finally, I screenshotted every single cancellation, removal, and email confirmation and emailed it to my dad. Subject line, since I'm just a guest, here's what I'll stop providing. I hit send. Then I drove off. I was about 5 minutes away when the call started. First it was Jeremy, then Karen, then Dad. None of them left voicemails. I didn't answer. Instead, I drove to my apartment, parked, and made myself a sandwich. The kind I always used to eat as a kid, peanut butter and jelly with the crust cut off. I needed something familiar, something grounding. It was about an hour later when Jeremy finally texted, "Dude, what's going on?" I stared at it for a while before replying. I texted, "Just a guest, remember?" No response. The next morning, I woke up to find 4 missed calls from Karen, 2 emails from Dad, one angry, one concerned, and a voicemail from my aunt saying she'd heard things got tense and maybe I was overreacting. Overreacting. I helped throw an entire family gathering, paid out of pocket, and was told publicly I didn't belong. But sure, I was the problem. They underestimated me. Again, that afternoon, the power went out at their house. I know this because Jeremy texted, "Power's off. Did you do something?" I waited 5 minutes, then replied, "You'd have to ask the family. I'm just the guest." 2 hours later, my dad left me a voicemail. His voice was tight, controlled, but there was a little crack in it, like he couldn't quite believe this was happening. "Evan," he said, "we need to talk. I think things got out of hand." Karen shouldn't have said that. I didn't mean it the way it sounded. "You know I appreciate everything you've done. Let's talk. Please." I didn't respond. I needed him to feel it. Really feel it. Because this wasn't just about Easter. It wasn't about a folding chair or some plastic eggs. It was about every ignored effort, every brushed-off holiday, every time I called and no one picked up. It was about being made to feel like a burden in the same house where I used to hear bedtime stories and make pancakes on Sundays. It was about the little boy who watched his dad move on too fast, who kept hoping, year after year, that maybe, just maybe, he'd be seen again. And now? Now he finally was. And I wasn't done yet. I waited a full 24 hours before even thinking about calling him back. Not because I was playing games, but because I needed that time. To think. To breathe. To not react emotionally like I always had in the past. I wanted to go into this clear-headed, not with hope that he'd suddenly apologize or explain it all away, but to hear, really hear, what he had to say when the control slipped out of his hands. So the next evening, around 6 p.m., I called. He answered on the first ring. Evan, he breathed out, like my name was a lifeline. Thank you. Thank you for calling. Look, I don't know what Karen said, or what you think I said. No, I cut in, my voice calm firm. Don't start there. You know exactly what you said. Don't pretend it didn't happen. There was silence on the other end. I could hear him breathing, but he didn't interrupt. Because I want to be really clear about something, I continued. You said I was a guest. Out loud. In front of your wife, your son, and every person in that yard. You said I didn't belong. After I spent my whole Sunday and half my paycheck making sure your family gathering went smoothly. Evan, it wasn't about. It was exactly about that, I said. You made a choice. And I made mine. He sighed, and suddenly his voice took on that familiar, frustrated edge. The one I'd heard in arguments when I was a teenager, the one he used when he wanted to sound like the adult in the room. I think you're overreacting. You took it too far, cutting the power? Taking the speakers? You're punishing the whole family over a single sentence. I almost laughed. A single sentence? That sentence wasn't a slip-up. It was how you've treated me for years. It just slipped out this time. He was quiet again. Look, he finally said, softer. I get it. Things haven't been perfect. But you've always been the strong one. You always handled things better than Jeremy. That's why I leaned on you. That's why I thought you could take it. There it was. The confession. The unspoken truth behind a decade of imbalanced affection. You thought I could take it, so you gave it to me? I asked. You let her treat me like a servant. You let Jeremy skate by while I picked up the slack. You never once asked how I was doing. And when I finally stopped doing everything, suddenly I'm being dramatic. That's not what I'm saying. It's exactly what you're saying. I could feel something inside me, steady, solid, clicking into place. Not anger. Not bitterness. Just finality. The kind that doesn't scream. It just leaves. Here's the thing, I said. I'm not mad. I'm done. Evan. No. I'm done trying to prove I belong to people who only notice me when I'm useful. You want the power back on? Pay your own bill. You want the car insurance covered? Transfer the policy. The HVAC? That debt's yours now. I'm not carrying this anymore. I let the silence settle in again. You made me the guest, Dad. So I'm checking out. I hung up before he could respond. I didn't block him. I didn't send a dramatic follow-up email. I just disappeared from the role they'd cast me in. The days that followed were quiet. Tense, but quiet. No more calls. No more texts. I heard from my cousin, the one who still talked to me, that there'd been a whole meltdown after Easter. Karen blamed Jeremy for not managing the situation. Jeremy blamed Karen for escalating things. My dad apparently tried to smooth things over, but when the air conditioning cut off in the middle of the week during an unexpected heat wave, yeah, that broke whatever cool he had left. They had to pay for an emergency technician visit. In cash. Turns out, when you take the one responsible person out of the equation, things fall apart. I focused on my own life. Took a few days off work. Slept in. Ate well. Cleaned my apartment. And for the first time in forever, I didn't feel the weight of being the good son. The fixer. The one holding the family together with duct tape and denial. Then, a week later, Jeremy showed up at my apartment. I heard the knock and checked the peephole before opening. He looked sheepish. Sweaty. Like he'd been pacing in the hall for too long. Hey, he said. I raised an eyebrow. You could have texted. I figured you wouldn't answer. I didn't say anything. Just waited. I didn't know, he said after a second. About everything. The payments. The catering. The insurance. I didn't realize how much you were doing. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. You didn't care to know. He nodded. Yeah, I didn't. I just got used to it. You always handling everything. I guess I thought you liked it. Did I look like I liked it? He smiled faintly, then looked down. No, not really. There was a long pause. I could tell he wasn't here to argue. That was new. I talked to Dad, he said. Well, he's Dad. He's blaming Karen, but also trying to guilt you for abandoning him. I told him he was lucky you stuck around as long as you did. That almost made me smile. Then he added, I want to fix things with you. Not for them. Just us. I studied his face. For once, there was no entitlement there. No cocky younger brother grin. Just honesty. You want to fix it? I asked. Then start by not needing me to do all the work. He nodded again. Fair. I opened the door wider and stepped aside. You want water? He exhaled like he'd been holding his breath the entire time. Yeah, that'd be great. As we sat down in my kitchen, something shifted. Not fully healed. Not forgiven. But cracked open, just enough for the air to move again. My dad would keep calling, I was sure. Karen might even send a guilt-ridden email about rebuilding trust. But I wasn't playing along anymore. This time, the guest had left for good. Jeremy and I talked for nearly 2 hours that night. Not just about the Easter disaster, but everything. The years of imbalance. The quiet resentments. The way I always felt like the backup plan. The filler son. The one who made things work while Dad and Karen fawned over Jeremy like he was some rare collectible. To his credit, Jeremy didn't deflect. He didn't make excuses. He listened. I think I was just lazy, he said at one point. It was easier to let you carry it all. And I guess I figured, if no one was asking you to stop, then it must have been fine. That's the problem, I said quietly. No one ever asked if it was okay. They just assumed it. He nodded slowly. I'm sorry, man. And weirdly, I believed him. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was talking to my brother, not Dad and Karen's golden child, not the kid who used to borrow money and never pay it back, but the guy who used to sneak candy into my room during finals week, or beg me to stay up late to play Mario Kart when we were kids. The version of him that existed before all the favoritism twisted everything. I didn't say, it's okay, because it wasn't. But I said, thanks. And that was enough for now. The next few weeks were uneventful in the best possible way. I went to work, came home, watched movies I hadn't seen in years, cooked dinner for myself instead of grabbing takeout while sprinting between responsibilities. My apartment became a haven instead of a layover between disasters. It was the calmest I'd felt since college. Dad kept trying. At first, it was subtle. A forwarded meme. A shared calendar invite to family brunch that I promptly declined. Then came the apology texts, each more desperate than the last. We were all stressed that day. You know, I didn't mean it like that. You've always been part of this family, Evan. Please don't do this. You're tearing us apart. That one actually made me laugh. Me, I'm not tearing anyone apart. I'm just done being the glue. He didn't reply. Then came the final straw. 3 weeks after Easter, Dad sent me a long email. Not to apologize. Not to take responsibility. But to guilt me. Karen is heartbroken. Jeremy's been upset. You've made your point, but maybe it's time to stop punishing everyone. Punishing. That word lit something inside me. Because let me be clear, I hadn't done this to be vindictive. I didn't flip the switch to hurt anyone. I did it because it was the only way to be heard. To stop the cycle. To remind them that I wasn't some silent, dependable footnote in their lives. But apparently, standing up for myself was punishment. So I wrote back. You want to talk about punishment? Let's talk. For 10 years, I've helped with your bills. Your car. Your home. I paid for groceries when you were short. Paid Jeremy's college application fees. Lent Karen money for that wellness retreat she never paid me back for. I was your backup wallet, backup organizer, backup emotional support system. I planned birthdays. I picked up decorations. I called every Sunday for years. You forgot my birthday twice. At Christmas last year, you gave me a $20 gift card while Jeremy got a new laptop. You said I already had a good setup. And on Easter, after I planned and paid and set up and cleaned, you stood in front of the family and said I was just a guest. You don't get to call my boundaries punishment. You don't get to hurt me for years and then act shocked when I finally stop letting you. You made your choices. I'm making mine. I ended it with a simple line. I wish you well, but I'm done. And I was. I didn't check for a reply. I archived the thread, blocked his number for my own peace, and stepped away completely. Now here's where it gets interesting. 2 months later, I got a call from Jeremy. Dad moved out, he said, voice low. Karen kicked him out last week. What? She found out he was behind on the HVAC payments. He kept telling her they were taken care of, but after you canceled everything, he just ignored it. Thought you'd cave eventually. I closed my eyes. Of course he did. So they started getting final notices. Then the repair guy came back and said there was a lien being placed if they didn't pay. Karen lost it. She blamed him for everything. Said you never should have been responsible for any of it. I raised an eyebrow. Now she says that? Jeremy sighed. Look, I'm not defending her. She's still Karen. But I guess without you as the buffer, they imploded. It was never going to last. He went quiet for a second. He's been staying at Uncle Rob's. Said he's thinking of selling the house. Wow, I muttered. All of that from one sentence in the backyard. Jeremy laughed dryly. Yeah, guess you weren't just a guest, after all. We stayed in touch after that. Slowly, casually. He came by a few more times. We grabbed lunch. He actually started asking me about my life for once. And on my birthday, for the first time in years, he showed up with a homemade cake. Just like Mom used to make. Chocolate with raspberry filling. I didn't even know he could bake. Figured I owed you one, he said. For all the ones you covered. I won't pretend everything healed overnight. It didn't. Some wounds don't close neatly. They just stop bleeding. But I had peace. And that was something. As for my dad, he never responded to my final email. But 3 months later, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. No return address. Evan, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even know if I deserve it. But I read your email 100 times. You were right. About all of it. I got used to you fixing everything. And when you stopped, I didn't know how to function without you. That was my failure. Not yours. I'm sorry. I don't know if we'll ever talk again, but I hope one day you can remember the good parts of us. Because I do. I stared at it for a long time. Then I folded it up, placed it in a drawer, and walked away. Not angry. Not vindicated. Just free. Because the truth is, sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't loud. It's not a dramatic confrontation or a public takedown. Sometimes, it's silence. It's leaving. It's saying, you don't get to hurt me anymore. And meaning it. My name is Emma. And up until a few nights ago, I believed my family loved me. It started with a simple notification. My aunt had sent me a video. I was in the middle of making dinner when my phone buzzed. I wiped my hands on a towel, grabbed my phone, and absent-mindedly tapped the message. At first, I thought she sent me something random, a family video, maybe an old clip she found funny. But then, I heard my mother's voice. Emma should be grateful. She'd be nothing without us. My stomach dropped. The video was shaky, like someone had set their phone down without realizing it was recording. But the voices were crystal clear. A pathetic failure, that's what Emma is, my father added with a chuckle. But at least she's good for something, paying our bills. Laughter, I gripped my phone tighter. If Emma ever stops sending money, my aunt, the same one who had just sent this, said with a smirk in her voice, we'll just guilt her into it. She's too soft to say no. My whole body went numb. Emma, my name. They weren't talking about some hypothetical person. They weren't joking around. They were talking about me. I had been helping them for years, paying their rent, covering their debts, sacrificing my own savings just to make sure they never struggled the way I did. And this is what they really thought of me. I was still frozen, my thumb hovering over the screen, when suddenly, the video disappeared. This message has been unsent. I stared at the notification. My aunt had realized her mistake. She must have panicked and deleted the video, hoping I hadn't seen it. I should have confronted her, should have called her out, should have let them know I knew everything. But instead, I put my phone down and I pretended like I never saw it. And that's when I decided I wasn't going to react. Not yet. I had a plan. I sat there for what felt like hours, staring at my phone. The words kept echoing in my head. Emma should be grateful. A pathetic failure. She's too soft to say no. I wanted to believe it was some kind of misunderstanding. That maybe they were joking. Maybe there was some kind of context I was missing. But deep down, I knew better that I knew the truth. They meant every single word. And the worst part? They weren't wrong about one thing. I was too soft to say no. How many times had they guilt me into helping them? How many times had I put my own life on hold, just to make sure they had everything they needed? My dad's temporary financial struggles turned into me covering rent for years. My brother's tuition? He never even finished college. My mom's endless emergencies? Always conveniently timed when I had just gotten paid. And I had done it all without hesitation. Because that's what family was supposed to do, right? I had spent years convincing myself that I was doing the right thing, that they appreciated me, that they loved me. But that one video shattered every illusion I had left, and now they thought they had gotten away with it. My aunt had unsent the message, probably breathing a sigh of relief, thinking I hadn't seen it. Maybe she even reassured everyone. Don't worry, Emma didn't watch it. They thought I was still in the dark. And that was my advantage. I could have texted her right then and there. Could have confronted her, told her I saw everything. But what would that do? They'd just deny it, make excuses, twist the situation to make me feel guilty somehow. Oh. If they thought I was still their naive, obedient little bank account, I'd let them believe it, for now. Because in just a few days, the next payment was due. And this time, things were going to be different. The next morning, I woke up to my usual routine. Except everything felt different. The sun still peeked through my curtains, my coffee still brewed like always, but there was this awareness in the back of my mind. Like I was seeing my life from the outside for the first time. My phone buzzed. A message from my mom. Mom, morning, sweetie. Just checking in. Hope you're doing well. I stared at the message. It was normal. Too normal. She never texted me just to check in. There was always a reason. Always a request hidden somewhere. And sure enough, a few minutes later, Mom. Oh, by the way, rent is due soon. Can you send it by Friday? There it was. The same cycle. The same pattern. But this time, I wasn't going to play along. I typed out a response, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. My usual reply would be something like, of course, or no problem. Maybe I'd even apologize for taking too long, just to make sure they never felt inconvenienced. Not this time that I erased everything and simply replied, me, I can't this month. I stared at the message for a few seconds before pressing send. I set my phone down and waited 1 minute, 2 minutes. Buzz. Mom, what do you mean you can't? I could see the frustration through the screen. I had never said no before. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I took a sip of my coffee, letting her stew in her confusion. A few more messages came in. Mom texted, Emma, this is serious. We're counting on you. You know we don't have another option right now. Another buzz? This time, my aunt. Hey, sweetie, your mom is freaking out. Is everything okay? I almost laughed. Is everything okay? Sure. Everything was great. I had spent years paying for their lives. And the one time I even hinted at stopping, they panicked. Not once did they ask if I was okay, if I needed help. It was never about me. It never had been. I took a deep breath and replied, me, I have some unexpected expenses this month. I can't send anything. Sorry. That was it. No explanation, no apology, and then I waited. What happened next told me everything I needed to know. The silence was deafening. For the first time in years, I had said no, and they didn't know how to handle it. I stared at my phone, watching the 3 little dots appear and disappear over and over. My mother was typing, stopping, typing again. I imagined her sitting there, seething, trying to figure out the perfect way to manipulate me into changing my mind. Then, finally, her response came through. Mom texted, Emma, what do you mean unexpected expenses? What could possibly be more important than your family? There it was. The guilt trip. The same tactic they'd always used that I didn't reply. I just let the message sit there. Less than a minute later, Mom, you know your brother has no way to cover rent? If he gets kicked out, that's on you. The brother card. Classic. Then another message, Mom, we raised you, Emma. We took care of you when you had nothing. Is this how you repay us? I clenched my jaw, my fingers tightening around my phone. When I had nothing. They never took care of me. I put myself through school. I worked 3 jobs to escape that house. And the moment I had money, they latched onto me like leeches, draining me dry. I had nothing because they took everything. My phone buzzed again. Aunt texted, Emma, sweetheart, don't do this. We're family. Your mom is just upset. You know how she gets. Just send the rent and everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. Fine for who? I put my phone down, my heart pounding. I needed a second to breathe, to think. I walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, and took a slow sip. Staring at the clock on the wall, I could feel it. Something shifting inside me. For years, I had been scared of this moment. Scared that if I ever stopped paying, they'd hate me. They'd cut me off. They'd turn their backs on me. But now, I knew the truth. They never loved me. They loved what I could give them. And the moment that stopped, they would show me exactly who they were. I walked back to my phone, picking it up with steady hands. This time, the message was from my father. Dad texted, "Emma, I don't know what's gotten into you, but this is unacceptable. You're being selfish. This family needs you, and you're acting like some entitled brat. Grow up and do the right thing." There it was. The final mask slipping. No more fake sweetness. No more pretending to care. Just demands. I stared at the words, my heart pounding in my ears, and then another notification popped up. A voice message from my aunt. My hands trembled as I hesitated, my thumb hovering over the play button. Something told me this was going to change everything. I hesitated. For a long moment, I just stared at the little play button on the screen. A voice message from my aunt. My heart pounded against my ribs. She wasn't the type to send voice messages. If she had something to say, she usually sugar-coated it in text. Passive-aggressive, but with just enough fake sweetness to make me feel guilty. But this was different. Slowly, I pressed play. Her voice came through, sharp and impatient. "Emma, listen. I don't know what kind of game you think you're playing, but this isn't funny. Your mother is losing her mind. Your dad is furious. And honestly, I don't blame them. You've always been, well, a little ungrateful, but this is beyond selfish." I felt my stomach tighten, but I forced myself to keep listening. "You have a good job, don't you? You make more than any of us. You don't even need that money. Meanwhile, your family is struggling. And what? You just wake up one day and decide you don't care anymore?" A bitter laugh. "You owe them, Emma. After everything they've done for you, after all the sacrifices they made, they gave you life. And now, you're just going to walk away? Pretend they don't exist? What kind of daughter does that?" She exhaled sharply, and for a second, I thought she was done. But then, you know what? Her tone darkened, colder now. "If you really want to be that kind of person, fine. But don't expect them to forgive you. Don't expect to come crawling back when you realize how much you need them. Because once you cross this line, there's no coming back." The message ended. Silenced, I let the words settle, my thumb hovering over the replay button. My ears rang. My hands numbed. I should have felt scared. I should have panicked. I should have been scrambling to make things right, to fix this, to apologize. But instead, I felt calmed. More than that, I felt free. Because she had just confirmed everything. They didn't love me. They didn't respect me. They didn't even see me as a person. I was just a bank account to them. A walking, breathing ATM. And the moment I stopped handing out money, I was nothing. And if that was the case, then maybe it was time to be nothing to them. My phone buzzed again. Another message from my mother. "Mom, last chance, Emma. Send the rent." I stared at the message for a long, long time. Then, without hesitation, I blocked her. I blocked my dad. I blocked my aunt. And just like that, for the first time in years, I was free. Or so I thought. Because the next day, my brother showed up at my door. The knock at my door sent a chill down my spine. It was early, too early. The kind of early where normal people were still asleep, the sun barely peeking over the horizon. For a second, I thought about ignoring it. Maybe it was a neighbor. Maybe it was a package. Maybe it was anything other than what I knew it was. Then, another knock, louder this time, more insistent. I took a slow breath, steeling myself, and walked to the door. My fingers hesitated on the handle, my heart hammering in my chest, and then I opened it. There he was. My brother. His face was twisted in something between anger and desperation, his clothes wrinkled like he hadn't slept. His eyes, God, his eyes, they were bloodshot, wild. "Are you serious, Emma?" His voice was sharp, like a blade pressed against my skin. "What the hell is wrong with you?" I blinked, keeping my expression neutral. "Good morning to you too," he scoffed, running a hand through his already messy hair. "Don't do that. Don't act like this isn't a big deal. You blocked everyone. Mom is freaking out. Dad's losing his mind. You're just, what? Cutting us off? Pretending we don't exist? I crossed my arms, leaning against the door frame. I don't know, Jason. Maybe I just got tired of being treated like a piggy bank. His jaw clenched. Oh my God, not this again. Not this again? I let out a bitter laugh. Jason, I've been paying your rent for years. I've covered your bills, your food, even your stupid gym membership. And the one time I say no, the one time I set a boundary, Mom calls me a selfish brat. Dad says I'm unacceptable. And you show up at my door like I committed a crime. His lips parted like he was going to argue. But no words came out, so I kept going. And don't even try to pretend you care about me. I saw the video. His face went pale. For the first time, real fear flashed in his eyes. What video? I smiled, but it wasn't a kind one. You know exactly what video? Jason shifted on his feet, glancing away. His hands balled into fists. Look, it wasn't serious, okay? We were just joking. You're being dramatic. Joking? My voice was quiet now, but sharp as glass. You all sat around laughing, calling me a pathetic failure, saying I should be grateful for the chance to pay your bills. Do you know what that feels like, Jason? To hear your own family talk about you like that? He exhaled harshly, rubbing his face. Emma, come on. No. I cut him off. You come on. You want money? Get a job. You want someone to take care of you? Find someone else. Because I'm done. Silenced, he just stood there, staring at me. And for a second, I saw something flicker across his face. Something raw. But it was gone just as quickly. You don't mean that, he muttered. I held his gaze. Yes, I do. Another silence. Then, his expression hardened. His mouth twisted into something ugly. Fine, he spat. You want to be a selfish BTCH? Go ahead. But don't come crawling back when you realize you have no one left. Asterisk, and with that, he turned and walked away. I stood there, watching him go, my chest tight but my spine straight. Because he was wronged, I did have someone left. I had myself. But just as I closed the door, letting out a shaky breath, my phone buzzed. I glanced at the buzzing phone again, the familiar name flashing on the screen. IT was my mother, but I wasn't going to pick up. Not this time. I had been at her mercy for so long. Her demands, her guilt trips, the way she'd used my own sense of responsibility against me, manipulating me into giving up everything I had just to keep her from falling apart. Not anymore. I turned the phone over, face down, and walked away. The truth was, I was done. Done with being the constant source of money, the safety net that kept my family afloat when they couldn't be bothered to make their own way in the world. Done with the lies and the manipulation. They'd never once asked how I was doing. Never once thought about the toll it took on me to be the one always picking up the slack. I had carried their weight for years. My mother's, my father's, my brother's. All of them acting like I owed them something. Like my life was just one long, endless repayment for everything they had sacrificed for me. But no one had ever asked what I needed, and no one had ever cared about me, and now I was taking control. But my decision didn't go unnoticed. The next morning, as I sat in my living room, the silence felt suffocating. The weight of my choice was starting to settle in, but there was no regret, no second guessing. I'd made the right decision. Then, my doorbell rang. I wasn't surprised. IT was Jason. I could tell by the way he knocked, demanding, impatient. The last person I expected to show up, but somehow, not surprising, I opened the door slowly, keeping my face neutral. Emma, he started, the usual arrogant tone gone, replaced by something almost pleading. You need to listen to me. I didn't invite him in. I stood in the doorway, arms crossed. I don't need to listen to anything you have to say, Jason. He blinked, taken aback. Good. No, you don't understand. His voice softened, almost desperate. Mom's freaking out. Dad's calling me, asking what's going on. They don't know how to fix this. You've cut us all off. You can't just leave us hanging like this. I scoffed, leaning against the doorframe. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you think I was just going to keep enabling you? Keep paying for your rent, your bills, and pretending everything was fine? No, Jason. I'm done. I don't care how much you or mom or dad beg. I'm done playing the role of the family ATM. His eyes flickered with anger. You're acting like we've never done anything for you. Like we're all just users, right? I didn't flinch. Oh, believe me, I know exactly what I've been to you all. I've been a cash machine, a free ride, and I'm tired of it. Jason's face twisted. You can't just leave us hanging like this. You owe us, Emma. The words stung, but they didn't break me. They only made me more resolute. I owe you? I've given you everything. I paid for your rent, your groceries, your bills, while you just sat there and watched me do it. And you want to talk about oh? His fists clenched at his sides. You'll regret this. You'll regret cutting us off. I couldn't help but laugh. No, Jason, you'll regret it. Because I'm not the one who needs you anymore. Without waiting for a response, I slammed the door in his face. It felt good. But I knew the drama was far from over. Later that night, my phone buzzed again. I almost didn't want to check it, but the curiosity gnawed at me. It was from my dad. Dad, we raised you, Emma. Don't think you can just walk away from everything we've done for you. You're making a huge mistake. Come back. We'll talk about it. We'll fix this. I could almost hear the desperation in his words. I sat there for a moment, the phone still in my hand. I could have ignored it. I could have blocked him too. But instead, I had a better idea. I wasn't just going to block them. I was going to make them pay for every single lie, every single moment they'd taken me for granted. And it was going to start now. I stood up, walked to my desk, and opened my laptop. It was time to send them a message they'd never forget. And so I started typing. I sat at my desk, staring at the screen of my laptop, my fingers hovering over the keys. I wasn't just going to sit back and let them waltz back into my life as if nothing had happened. No, I was done being the punching bag. This time, I was taking control. I thought back to everything I had done for them. All the payments I had made, the bailouts, the times I had swallowed my pride and helped them even when I knew I was the one being drained. No more. Now it was their turn to feel the sting of their actions. I opened my email and started typing. First, I gathered all the financial records, every payment I'd ever made for their bills, every bank transfer, every check I had sent over the years to help cover their mistakes. It was time to remind them of what they had taken from me. I included a note at the top of the email. Here's a detailed summary of everything I've done for you over the years. I'm done being your lifeline. I'll no longer be your ATM, and I'll no longer let you make me feel guilty for choosing myself. Consider this my final invoice. You don't owe me anything anymore, but you will owe yourself the realization of how much I've sacrificed, all because I thought family was supposed to help each other, not drain each other. Then, I attached the receipts, the bills, the payments that I hit send. But that wasn't the end. Not by a long shot. I logged into the family group chat where they used to keep me on edge with their complaints, their endless demands. I scrolled through the messages, reading the ones where they'd claimed they needed me, where they'd guilt me into helping them. Then, I did something I hadn't done in years. I replied, "You all talk a lot about what you've done for me, but you've forgotten how much I've given up for you. And here's the reality check. You never needed me. You just used me. I'm done. This is my last message. Don't ever contact me again." I sent it. The silence after was almost sweet. I leaned back in my chair, letting the weight of the decision wash over me. For once, there were no more phone calls, no more guilt trips, no more pretending that they had any power over me. They could keep their manipulations, their lies, their empty promises. I was free, but just as I thought it was over, I received one last message from Jason. "You're making a mistake, Emma. You'll regret this. Family sticks together." I smiled to myself. I knew he was just trying to get under my skin, but this time, it didn't work. That I didn't need them. I had my life, my freedom, and that was enough. That it wasn't the dramatic blow-up I'd imagined. It wasn't some grand confrontation, but in its own way, this was even better. I had taken control without anyone seeing it coming. And the best part? They didn't get to hold any power over me anymore. Yes, I turned off my phone for the night. A sense of peace settled over me. I didn't have to play their game. I didn't have to keep sacrificing myself for people who didn't appreciate me. It wasn't revenge in the way I had expected. It was quieter, more deliberate. And much more satisfying now. I could finally breathe. And the best part? I could finally live for me. And that, in the end, was the sweetest victory.
Wow, what a ride that was, right? It's wild to think about how much Emma had to endure for so long, but in the end, she took control of her life. I love how she didn't let all the drama or guilt from her family tear her down. Instead of a huge confrontation, she just cut them off, quietly, but with power. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't about making a scene, but about reclaiming your life and showing people you're not a doormat anymore. But here's the thing, not everyone would have handled it that way. Some people might say she should have fought for the relationship, maybe even given them a second chance. Others might think she did the right thing by cutting them out completely. So, what do you think? Do you agree with Emma's choice? Was her quiet revenge satisfying or too harsh? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think.